What's going on, everybody? The time is here. The moment is now. Commanders postseason takes, part one. Probably, I'm sure we'll get into more takes, but we are getting right into it. First of the off season. Let's get this started. Pop, enjoying your
Little bit of
enjoying your
warm tea,
tea,
bit of warm
getting
tea,
getting the voice ready.
working on the vocal cords. I might break out in the tune here.
It's not
If
a
you're
Dom and
lucky.
Pop.
If you're
It's not
lucky.
a Dom and Pop episode if there's not some kind of action going on Pop's side of the screen after I ask him whether or not he's ready. It's just it's truly not an episode. Got to give the fans what they like.
You'll be an old man one
Anyways,
day.
yeah. Anyways, oh man, come on. Uh, you know, Commanders. It's the
I'm
time.
ready.
It's
You've
time
been
to talk
itching.
about it. It's
You've been
time.
itching.
It's time to
You
get
kept saying
into
every
all
week,
the
Pop, when are we
things.
gonna do our Commanders postseason talk? I got some stuff I gotta get off my chest. I hope you're ready to
You know,
bring it,
we
son.
we tried to spread it out a little bit, tried to focus more on the national stuff while there was national stuff to focus on. But now we're sitting here in the warm afterglow of the Super Bowl as the cold off season starts to settle in. And we all know in DC, this is usually the most exciting time of the year for us, and this year will be no exception.
Yeah.
But so, point being, we've got plenty to cover. And of course, our season ended in January, early January. So as we're sitting here thinking about, mourning the ending of our season, all the good stuff's going on for all the other teams. We got a lot to talk about here. We got a lot to cover. So, enough intro. Let's get right into it. I say we give some quick 2022 takes to start this thing off, and then we can start getting more specific, and we'll kind of zone in as we go further down the line. I'll start. What a disappointing year. Can't say I expected any differently. I think I predicted 9-8 as you did in our last thing, and honestly, I was peer pressured into that 9-8 because you kept going. Come on, you can't take the Cowboys beating us at home at the end of the year. You can't take. So
Dominic,
I
you
took the nine and
started
eight, but
your first
it
preseason
felt very
prediction
in
was
and nine.
11-5
Yeah, but
or
that's
11 and
April.
6 or whatever.
That's April.
Yeah.
We once we actually saw some tape, we knew what was going on. We both landed at 9-8. We ended at 8-1. Obviously, that's not good enough to do anything in this league. You can ask the 13-4 Kansas City Chiefs about that, who just won the Super Bowl. Yeah, disappointing year. Much of the same. Everybody talks about a lame duck year this year. Last year felt like a lame duck
What
year. Felt
were
like we
we
just
even?
lit a year on
I already
fire.
forgot. 8-1.
8-1. The definition of mediocrity. So, Pop, if you want to give your quick takes on
I
the
think
season.
we said we'd cover things we liked and things we didn't like. I think the things I liked is the development of some of the young players, Jahad Dotson. The secondary, some of the young guys in the secondary, both at safety and at corner, that looked really good. From a roster building point of view, it was encouraging that you know guys were performing better in the second year, and there were some guys that maybe we wrote off in the first year that, especially on defense, that came up big. Curtis Samuel had a healthy season. I think from that perspective, now clearly where they gambled, getting into the things that I didn't like, they completely missed, right? I mean, they missed on the offensive line horribly, and they missed at quarterback horribly. And that cost us, right? That cost us a playoff spot this season. Um, situation with Brian Robinson at the beginning of the year hurt, but that's an unfortunate thing that no one could see coming. But I don't think it was all bad. And I'm actually not completely upset with the roster building. I think there's some good things in terms
Interesting.
of the roster building. Like I said, where they missed pretty bad. And, but generally,
That's the
generally most of the draft picks are working out. And a lot of the later round picks are working out.
so
Um,
that's the positive side of it, right? Obviously, some of the later round guys we still need to see more from. A lot of those late round guys don't survive more than a couple years on the roster, anyways. So it's not really fair to judge that. But obviously, saw some good flashes from Brian Robinson. Obviously, the injury situation hurt him there. Jahan Dotson was great. We lost Fedarian Mathis to an ACL pretty early in the year. Didn't get to see much out of him, and that was really unfortunate with the Deron Payne situation because obviously he was hopefully supposed to be Payne's predecessor. You would hope that that was the plan. They drafted his replacement. They were going to let Payne go. They knew they were going to let Payne go. They were going to let him ball, maybe tag him, and then the kid's ready. Now we're in a world of hurt with that. We'll get into that later in the episode. But it feels so painfully Commanders fan to sit here and go, there was some good development from guys like Jeremy Reeves and Derek Forrest and our young secondary. While meanwhile, Carson Wentz was our starting quarterback for half the year. He was horrible. Taylor Heineke was, barely average on a good day. Our offensive line was miserable. The offense couldn't win scoring more than 17 points all year. Um, it feels so painfully Commanders fan to be like, but our third round running back showed some flashes. So reason for optimism. It's just like,
yeah, but
it's the
I just
same
to
old, same old. But you're right.
clarify my
It's good
point,
to.
I was talking more about second year draft picks, I guess, other than Jahan Dotson,
Oh, okay.
right? But I mean, Jamin Davis in year two,
Yes,
you were ready to run him out of town. Not to pick
you
on
were
you, a
too.
lot of people were,
Everybody was.
right? I mean, so I think it's that kind of thing. The Benjamin St. Juice is another one. He was kind of playing out of position in the slot. They figured that out. Cam Curl has another great year. Derek Forrest looks like he's got star potential. So mostly on the
Yep.
defensive side. And then, the bet that they placed on Curtis Samuel ends up paying off in year two. Look, if you want to feel encouraged at all, and I'm not arguing that we should, right? To go 8-1 with the play we got from the quarterback position this year is borderline miraculous. I'll just
Sound
leave it at that.
familiar? Does that sound familiar at all? Because about a year ago, we're sitting here going, 7-10. The team got absolutely hit with COVID. That totally cost us an entire game late in the year. That ended up causing us our playoff push. And we're going, the fact that we even won 7 games with the quarterback situation is a miracle. And now we're sitting here saying the same thing the next year. So a little disappointed
Son,
we're in this
we're
position.
8 minutes into this
But
segment. We're talking about what we liked, what we didn't like, and you haven't brought up the C word yet.
you're gonna have
Coaching.
to
Get your
clarify.
mind out of the gutter. Coaching.
You're gonna have to clarify on that.
Coaching.
It's too many. I don't want to take a wrong
Coaching.
guess. Yeah, coaching was
Where's the
it's.
rant? Come on.
I don't have one. I have more qualms with. I mean, I'll just say it because the season's over. The only reason Ron Rivera is still here is because Dan is focused on selling the team and not running it. Ron Rivera should be fired. He should be gone after to make the mistakes that he's made with the quarterback evaluations to bring in, put the house on Carson Wentz, waste the season on that not working out, not know that you were eliminated from the playoffs in the game that you decided to start Carson Wentz. An organization that was focused on winning football games and capitalizing on your championship windows when you have them would fire Ron Rivera after that. Unfortunately, there's a million and one off the field things that are going to lead to Ron getting another year, more likely than not. So I don't even want to waste my time talking about it. I'm disappointed as a whole. in Ron the entirety of Ron's job. I think maybe we get a new owner, we bring in you've talked about it, we bring in like a vice president of football operations or somebody high up to handle the roster and to just tell and Ron gets a good offensive coordinator and he runs the offense and you just tell Ron, "Hey, motivate the guys, be a leader, be the culture guy." Maybe it can work out, but that's why I don't have a big coaching rant for
What
you is
clouds?
because I'm
Well,
kind of
what
just
clouds the
I'm past
situation?
this coaching situation in my opinion, and I think we can't judge it fairly because of the dance situation.
But you're right on paper with just in terms of pure results. No argument with anything you said. But when you add in all the off the field stuff, right, and you add in the COVID year, and you add in the unfortunate cancer year, I mean, what he's been through off the field, the name change, all the stuff, right? It was not a great situation for him to succeed. And I would argue he probably held the team together. A better X's and O's coach, a better game day coach may not have been able to handle all the off the field stuff and might have just said, F it. I can't deal with this, right?
It's the
I just want to
optimistic
coach
outlook, sure.
football. So I think I kind of go back to Ron was the right caretaker to get us through these last 3 years and maybe this fourth bridge year. But I would agree the results and the performance and with coaching, I always use eye test, right? How are they making decisions during the game, or do they have a feel for the game? Obviously we had lots of issues with the offensive play calling, so clear to say what we didn't like was a lot of what was going on coaching wise, the head
Yeah.
coach position and the offensive coordinator position. But let's get into some postseason awards.
Yeah,
People have
so
waited long enough.
we're gonna do season long awards the same way we done game long awards, but we're gonna talk scope of the whole season. I've probably got some hot takes for you
How
on
about
some of these
how about
here.
just to make it more efficient? Why don't I give you my nominations? You give
Okay,
me yours, and then we'll decide on our final awards. We'll save Kekats of the season for the last bit. We'll just focus on sauce and helmet stickers. So my
sure.
nominations, sauce is obvious. It's got to be Terry McLaurin. I think he won the most sauce awards through the season. I like Deron Payne and Jonathan Allen for helmet stickers. Again, I think consistently we called them out game in, game out. And then I would be okay with sharing a helmet sticker between Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson because I think that duo, Robinson obviously developed into the main back through the course of the year, but I think the way Gibson rallied and played after getting benched was was great. It showed me a lot about his character, and I think for that reason, if nothing else, he deserves a helmet sticker. So I'd share the running backs
I like
there.
it. It's strong. My hot take is I don't think Terry McLaurin gets the Sauce Award. I would give the Sauce Award to Deron Payne. And we want to give it to Terry. Terry's the guy. We love him. He's it's not his fault that he's not eligible for the Sauce Award in my opinion, but I think the quarterback play was so atrocious. Terry did not have the opportunity to shine as much as we'd like to see. And Deron Payne to be setting records the way he was, to have the number of sacks that he did, to make the impact on the defensive side of the ball the way that he did, and frankly, was the only reason that defense. He was not the only reason that defense was good, but that defense being as good as it was the only reason this team won more than 4 games this year. And I think Payne was the catalyst to that. I think he was the most important part
I think the
to that
thing with
defense.
the Payne Award, the reason that I would debate that just a little bit is I think it's the tandem of Deron Payne and John Allen that makes either or so special, and they
That's
both
fair.
perform great as individuals. But I got a solution for you. We're going to have an offensive sauce award and we're gonna have a defensive sauce award.
I love it. I love it.
I'm
Quick
not moving
thinking.
off Terry
Quick
McLaurin.
thinking. I
I'm
love
not
it.
moving, so we'll be here for an hour. But let's
Take it
go
all you can.
offensive. Let's go defensive. I'm cool with it. So that's our
Cool.
sauce. What do you think about the helmet stickers?
I love all the names you brought up for helmet
Okay.
stickers. I think And that solves our co-helmet sticker situation
Yep.
with AG and Brian Robinson. That fixes that right there. Real
So
quick, I'm gonna put
I'm gonna make sauce for Terry. You make sauce for Deron
I'll make
Payne.
the sauce for Duran.
We'll
Fair
we'll
enough. There
ship
you
it to
go.
them. We'll get them to do. Maybe they could get together, do a taste test,
Do a taste
tell us who
test.
makes the better sauce, because that's a running debate between you and I. And helmet stickers for the rest of you guys are in the mail.
Yeah, so just to recap that, offensive sauce award going to be Terry McLaurin. Defensive sauce award, Deron Payne. Helmet stickers got to go out to Brian Robinson, Antonio Gibson, and Jonathan Allen. Those will be our three. I'm going to do some honorable mentions as well. I think Cam Curl
Of course, yeah. I thought of
has
him.
got to be in that conversation. I love the bit that you made about, off the field with Antonio Gibson. And in general, I think he's just been misused in terms of his talents in this offense. And,
Agree.
he did he fumble the ball once this year? I think he had one fumble and that was it. And he's coming off
I
of all
don't
the
even
fumbling issues
remember
last
that.
year. He turned it around in that category. So I
That's
don't
a
want to
great
take
point.
anything away from him, but merit wise, Cam Curl's got to be in that conversation. I mean, you got a seventh round guy in his third year playing at an all pro level at safety. I don't think that's an exaggeration to say if you look at the PFF grades and you look at how bad the defense was without him in
Yep.
the games that he missed. Benjamin St. Juice,
Yep.
I want to put in that honorary category. I want to put Jamin Davis in that honorable mention category when we're talking about overcoming adversity and stepping up.
Yep. Holcomb played
Linebacker was
great when he was healthy.
Holcomb was another one. I was
So we
just
were
about to say
super worried about the linebacker core, right?
that linebacker was, going into the season. Watch our position grades if you want to go back and laugh. Leave some comments. Tell us how stupid we were. Linebacker. I think we both put A's for offensive line, so that proved us wrong. But linebacker was a major point of concern. I think I gave him an F at one point. And linebacker was the least of our worries on defense. I think corner was more of an issue than anything else. And yeah, so a lot of good young performance, but some bad veteran performance, and I think that's got to move us into our kickouts of the season. Um, the overarching one could just be the quarterback situation. Unfortunately, I think we have to make it personal, not in the person, but the Carson Wentz situation was a complete bust from the top down, left, right, north, south, east, west. I think Taylor did the best that he could. I don't I don't fault Taylor at all because he shouldn't be in that position and he is, and that's a fault of the leadership. And he saved our season in a lot of ways. But Wentz, that's got to be my kick out to the season is making that big splash at quarterback and bringing in Carson Wentz. That's
Yeah, and
my
I,
kick
I
out.
would I would add to that my kickouts of the season is the moment that Ron decided to go back to Wentz.
So
You
yeah,
know,
if we want to
maybe
zoom in even more,
yeah, the icing on the cake or the cherry on top, which is the opposite of actually what it was. But
yeah,
I go to that moment. What a complete disaster of a move. And not that, getting into the playoffs, maybe we don't go that far. Um, a lot of people had issues with the Sam Howell, why we waited so long. I didn't have a problem with that. I like the idea of him having a red shirt year and
yeah,
developing, even though he kind of bobbled the decision to start him in the Cowboys game. Taylor had to make that decision for him. Yeah, I agree. The whole situation with Wentz, not getting personal, seems like a great dude, but it was a major error. I mean, we flushed two third round picks. They're gone.
and 28 million dollars that could have
Yeah,
potentially gone to
yeah,
setting
maybe.
up an extension for Deron Payne a year early, something along those lines.
Yep,
We
maybe. But
totally tossed. It could have gone to the offensive line, could have gone to other free agent quarterbacks. Is just total to pay that amount of money and to get that level of performance. And I don't want to hear it with the injury. He was awful before that. He was awful after it. Is just is horrible. Um, horrible. And so I guess that can get us into our some of our bigger stories here. Um, Basically, this all kind of we have a couple of separate points here, but this all kind of melds into one for me. And I think for the sake of time, maybe we'll just talk about it a little bit more generally today, and then if we end up wanting to do more of a deep dive, we can do that another time. I have a really big concern. You're no the number one thing on the outline here. It says Ron Rivera returns for a fourth season? Question mark. I have a really big concern. I don't think Ron Rivera has a plan. I don't think he's had a plan. I think if you trace these last 3 years, you can see he is just flying by the seat of his pants, and there could be a million reasons for that. I know he dealt with some off the field stuff. I'm not talking about that. Purely football, general manager wise, Ron Rivera. It's like it's like there's no cohesiveness. We're talking about for 2 years, it's we build the roster and then we plunk in the quarterback. And then year three, it's we're going to make a big splash at quarterback, and this is when my rebuild takes a big step forward. And then when the quarterback situation, it's guys, these things take time. Meanwhile, Brian Daboll's winning a playoff game up in New York after recovering a way worse team than we've had in Washington for the last 3 years. And now going into year four, it's we're not going to make a big splash at quarterback. We're going to run with our young guy, and we're going to focus on building the rest of the roster. There's no. It's like
Yeah.
that episode of The Office: snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap. There's no, there's no continuous motion here, and that worries me. So when we talk about Sam Howell, quarterback one, should we go after Garoppolo? Should we go after Derek Carr? Do we want to bring back Taylor? We talk about what are we going to do with Deron Payne? We talk about extending Chase Young. With this guy at the helm, I don't know what the hell is going to
Well,
happen. I don't know if he knows.
well, I mean, the questions are what would we do? So that's the reason for those questions, and I would like to go through
Yeah,
them maybe in a rapid fire fashion. But no, I
sure,
think your
sure.
point's well taken. I think, in fact, the building of the defense, you could argue, has been really good. We rattled off the picks and
Fair.
and everything that goes on. And look, they gambled on this two linebacker strategy, and it worked. Maybe they
Yep.
got lucky. I don't know, but it worked. I don't really have too much heartache with the defense. Offensively, playmakers, I don't have too big of a problem there. Tight end room didn't quite work out. We thought it'd be a strength. It didn't really turn into that. But yeah, the botch at offensive line and then swinging at, you know, two veteran quarterbacks that were just disasters the last 2 years and not drafting a quarterback. I can understand year one. You had Dwayne Haskins. You wanted to see if you could work that out. Peace still wouldn't have hurt to draft a young quarterback in the fourth or fifth round,
You know who
and,
did
and
that?
and to not do it in year two and then to wait till year three, fifth round, which almost felt like Sam Howell fell in his lap. I agree. It's a lot of indecisiveness. It's a lot of changing of the plan. Um, they one thing that was kind of a tell to me is they talked about how much they liked Sam Howell. Well, if they really liked him that much and they were planning to draft him, they would have got him in the third round or something like that. He just fell to them. And now they love him, which I hope they're right. I like him too, but I think with a quarterback that young, and I think maybe we can roll into topic two. What would you do at quarterback? With a quarterback that young, you just don't know. There's no
Yeah.
way to know. It's just this is the reality. And a lot of the talk on the radio this week's been the How Hive, and it was crazy that I give a shout out to the junkies. They were putting up polls, and they put Howell against every quarterback. They put Howell against Lamar Jackson. They put Howell against Aaron Rodgers. They put Howell against of course, Derek Carr, and he won every poll. So like whoever's voting is all in on this Sam Howell idea, and it's balanced. It's not just is Sam Howell a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson right now? Of course he's not. It's you got to pay Lamar Jackson to keep him, but I think it's a gamble, and this is gonna be the thing that makes or breaks Ron. But do we believe it? I don't hate the idea of going with Sam Howell. We've already talked about that, but do we believe it? And then what other moves, if you think going with Sam Howell is a good move, what other moves do we need to make at quarterback? Do you take a swing at Garoppolo or Carr at 40 million a year or whatever it's going to cost you to get one of those guys?
Yeah, it's I exactly to my point and to your point when you further illustrated, Howell was an accident. I don't want to hear it. Howell
I
was an
agree.
accident. Howell was not supposed to be here, and he showed up. And you're in the fifth round, and you're going, "Oh, guys, let's take a quarterback. Why not? We should take one. We need a backup this year. We need a third stringer, right? Taylor gets hurt sometimes. Wentz is known to get hurt. Let's get ourselves a third stringer, and we'll see. It's a project, right? If you wanted a young quarterback, you're sitting there at 11. Hell, we traded back to what, 16? Where did we take Jahan? Was it
Yeah, 16.
16? We traded back to 16. You could have got Kenny Pickett there if you wanted a young quarterback to develop and just I don't know. So the whole thing, yeah, I think you're exactly right. If the plan was to get a young project quarterback to develop, you take Kenny Pickett in the first round. You have wide receivers at that point. John Dotson's great. I love him. But if that was really the plan, that's what we do. So I think Howell is, you hear about it across the NFL. He's the parachute. He is the break glass in case of emergency, which is, I have a rookie quarterback and he looks like Patrick Mahomes in practice. I might lose my job, so let's go
So,
to him
son,
next year.
so it's well established you don't like Ron Rivera and the decisions he makes, but you're the coach, you're the GM for the day. What do you do at quarterback? What does
Uh,
Dominic do at quarterback? Quickly.
so in this exact situation that we're
Forget about
stuck in, I
Ron.
go.
Ron's a non-factor in this. There's a new coach in the
I,
building. You're the king. What are you going to do?
I know. I'm saying I walk in today, take over this exact situation. I'm gonna roll with Howell. I don't think we should be in this position, is what I'm saying. But to answer your question, I'm gonna roll with Howell because I think what a lot of the guys on the radio are saying, with all the turnover and all the craziness that we think is gonna happen, why are you gonna pay? I mean, sure, if Lamar becomes available, but he's not coming here. So Garoppolo is also not gonna come here. Derek Carr, why why are we gonna go after these things when everything's gonna get nuked in anywhere between 2 months and a year at the latest? This time next year, nobody's gonna be here. So I rock with
You're
Howell.
no fun.
Um, that's where I'm at. I would rock with Howell. What would you do, Pop?
I don't
Do
hate the
you want to
idea.
go get
I don't know.
Jimmy
Like I
Garoppolo or
think it's
Derek
all
Carr?
comes down to what it's going to cost you. I don't hate the idea of a Derek Carr if it doesn't come at a crazy price tag, which it probably will because he's probably the
Derek Carr is going to cost you
right.
$100 million
So, but they're
at
gonna
least.
need to bring a veteran in. Maybe if it's Taylor, I want to draft a quarterback. I need to have another young guy at some point. Doesn't need to be in the first round. In fact, I think if you really want to see if you really believe that Howell might be the player, then it can't be in the first round because if you draft a kid in the first round, then he's automatically got to move to the top of your quarterback of the future depth chart. But I don't hate the idea of bringing in a vet if it doesn't cost you draft picks. I do not want to give up one draft pick for a veteran quarterback. Um, but yeah, we're gonna have to figure it out. There's gonna have to be a vet that comes in as at least a backup. All right, quickly, Deron Payne, what do you do?
Tag and trade, I guess. You hope you can get something for him. He's gone, in my opinion. If we can keep him, I'd love to, but why would he stay?
Can I get a smile tonight, son?
I'm
Anything?
sorry. It's just
your
this
your vibe is rough, man. I thought
this
you were excited
situation.
about this first Commanders postseason pod.
I was excited to talk about it. Doesn't mean I'm excited about what's happening with the Commanders. I no, I would tag and trade
All right,
Duran. You got to try and get something for
My
him.
Deron Payne take is you got to at least tag him. Can't let him go to free agency because you got to get something back for him. I think Ron, being in the situation that he's in, would have no problem tagging him and letting him play on the franchise tag. So what does he care? He's got one season to save his season and max out as much as he can. And who knows? Maybe new ownership can convince him to get signed to a long-term deal. But at a minimum, I think you need to tag him. Last question: do you extend Chase Young? What do you do?
Yes.
I agree. We agree on that. I thought we might be on opposite ends. I think you've got to take that chance, and
If you
I think you've got to do it.
even if you don't want even if you don't want to keep him here long term, you pick up the option and then you trade him. You do not you
Yeah,
do not let him play out his last year next year. You
yeah.
do not. That's
And, and speaking of
that's
dumb
insane
things,
to me.
speaking of dumb things that Ron said when the comments about, well, maybe we don't pick it up to motivate him. I mean that's just dumb too, and shouldn't say that publicly. But I agree. I think we should try and chase. So I don't know. Maybe we get into the next segment. It'll cheer you up, son.
Yeah, so let's have some fun to close the episode out. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be this negative about it, but when you're asking me these questions and I'm giving you my answers, I'm like, damn, I really don't like Ron Rivera. What's going on here? I mean, he hasn't given me much reason to. But anyways, let's get into our kickouts of the week. Let's have some laughs. Um, AJ Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, James Bradbury, getting into it on Twitter, having some fun. Obviously, our kickouts of the game in the Super Bowl was that holding call at the end of the game. The more and more I sat with it, has your opinion changed on the call at all? The more that we've sat on it,
The call at the end of the game. I mean,
yeah,
there was definitely some evidence that came out. Bradbury said he admitted it was a hold. It looked like it happened kind of early in the play where he definitely impeded him, and
yeah,
tugged on his jersey. And if you tug on the jersey and the ref is looking when you tug on the jersey, you're going to get the call. I still felt overall it was a bit of a weak call, and it's unfortunate. But everyone on the
yeah.
Eagles seems to be saying, yeah, they're not complaining about it. So I guess we shouldn't.
Yeah, fair
Yeah.
enough. I don't know. The more I watch the replay, the more I see like, yeah, I could see that getting called. I still, if you don't make those calls all game, you don't make them in the fourth quarter. It's a consistency thing, but that's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is Juju Smith-Schuster and AJ Brown getting into it on Twitter. You
On
guys know I'm a big
Valentine's
AJ Brown
Day. On
on
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Um, Juju tweets, "Happy Valentine's Day, everybody!" And it's a Valentine's. It's just a picture of James Bradbury, and it says, "I'll hold you when it matters most," which is hilarious. Is hilarious. But this is what Juju does, right? Juju obviously had the one really big year in Pittsburgh, has been Mets on meds since he's done a little bit better in Kansas City. I think my wide receiving career would improve if I went out to Kansas City as well.
I like
Um,
to see that.
but me too. Um, but AJ Brown just tweets. I guess James Bradbury responds and just says that he's an All Pro and
Right.
leaves it at that or something along those lines. And then AJ Brown quote tweets him, goes right at him, and he says, "First off, congratulations, y'all deserve it. This is lame. You was on your way out the league before Mahomes resurrected your career on your 1 year deal, TikTok boy. He admitted he grabbed you.
TikTok boy.
He admitted that he grabbed you, but don't act like you're like that or ever was. But congratulations again." And then a couple emojis and a beer clink. I love it. I love
That's a
it.
pretty good burn. TikTok
He
boy.
roasted him. And you know what? You know what I love about it is that if you're gonna come like that, you got to be able to back it up. And frankly, Juju's been better on TikTok than he's been on the football field in the last couple of years. AJ Brown just signed a massive contract and put up 96 yards and a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Meanwhile,
AJ
Juju
AJ Brown's a
was a
stud.
non-factor. AJ
Yeah.
Brown is one of the best receivers in football. Um,
Imagine him on the
so
Chiefs. That'd be like borderline illegal.
yeah, he wouldn't be getting held like that and letting that impede the play. I'll tell you that much. But Juju basically kind of then turns around and almost plays the victim And he's like, glad you were finally able to get that off your chest after all these years. Good game, bro. Juju, do you really think AJ Brown's thinking about you at all? Do you think AJ Brown cares? Like, everything he said was so surface level. Like, you can't. Here's my thing with that. You can't. You can't open that. You can't open those floodgates and then get soft.
Exactly.
You can't. You can't. You know what you signed up for. You don't think somebody's gonna say something. Um, and then of course it goes back and forth, and he says, CJ Garner Johnson says he tried to check him in the game and Juju ran from him. Juju denies that. And then he asks him which finger he should get sized for his Super Bowl ring, which frankly, he should have said that back to AJ Brown because that was actually kind of funny. But at that point, you'd already lost, in
Well,
my
apparently,
opinion. I don't know.
Mahomes got in the mix at one point. Apparently, there's deleted tweets, but there was a little bit of back and forth between Mahomes and Brown. So yeah, pretty funny. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny what happens on social media these days. Um yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. AJ said something about like, it's really crazy how players these days can be better at social media than at football and still be in the league. He said something
Yeah,
something to
yeah,
that effect. And then Mahomes, obviously, he's got to come to his teammates' defense. Poor Mahomes, having to stick himself in that situation as the quarterback. But yeah, it was funny. It was more of a Kikats of the week, kind of just our variety segment, something kooky that happens off the field. I don't think there's any direct Kikats to anybody. I think it was all in good fun until Juju got his feelings hurt, which I don't think you could get your feelings hurt in that
now he's
situation
got the
personally.
broken heart emoji now.
Yeah, but I'm
Yeah,
I'm biased. I'm a big AJ Brown guy. I've been a big fan of his since he was in Tennessee, and obviously I
there
can't
you
root
go
for him
again,
now because
loving
he's
on these
wearing
NFC
green.
East guys all
I
the
can't
time.
root for him now because he's wearing green, but as an individual, I do wish him success. I think he's a great football player.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, so that's your funny your variety for the week there. Your
absolutely.
kickouts of the week is a good laugh there. But hey, I mean, thorough episode today. We kind of touched a little bit on all the Commanders offseason news, and we've got plenty more where that came from. This is pretty much like the season 2.0 in Washington. It's always like, yeah, we play some football games, but the real drama starts in February.
There's going to be so
Um,
much to talk about with ownership and then free agency and then the draft. And I mean, you worry about the offseason, but it just goes by with a flash. And maybe we'll get into a little bit of, NBA as the playoffs come around. We'll do a brackets again and lots to break down. Always fun. Like
yeah,
Dominic said, we're going to be dropping every Monday again. So appreciate the listeners out there.
definitely. And of course, guys, if you have ideas, if you got things you want us to go back and talk about that maybe we did last off season or things that you like, drop us a comment, let us know, send us a tweet, get involved. We're always open to production ideas. We've got, I mean, plenty of stuff to talk about. But if there were segments from last year that you guys really enjoyed in the off season that you want to hear again, maybe it's position grades, maybe it's predictions, let us know. We'll fire them back out. We're we're not above a little bit of fan feedback. But
Absolutely.
until then, let's get on with this thing. Let's get on with our nights here. It's getting late. I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thanks for another good
Love
week.
me, baby. Oh.